Some of us grew up being told a certain story that privilege wasn't real, or if it was, it didn't belong to us, that to admit privilege meant we were guilty of something we didn't do, that we were being accused of crimes committed long before we were born. But privilege isn't about guilt. It isn't a verdict, it's a mirror. And the mirror frightens people, not because of what it shows about the past, but because of what it reveals about the present. We want history to be clean. We want to believe that once the laws changed, once slavery was abolished, once Jim Crow fell, once housing discrimination was outlawed, that the story was finished, that equality was signed into law and therefore lived in reality. But history isn't paper, history is people, and people carry wounds longer than any law book can heal, right? Redlining didn't vanish the day it was declared illegal. The neighborhoods remained, the schools remained, the economic gap remained. Generations grew up separated not just by fences, but by opportunity itself. And those barriers don't disappear because we wish them away. And it isn't just redlining, it's banks that for decades refused loans to Black families. It's schools that drew invisible lines to keep children apart. It's hospitals that turned people away. It's companies that didn't hire. It's policies that look neutral on paper but carve whole communities out of opportunity. And every single one of those choices stacked like bricks, building a wall that still stands today. Privilege is not the absence of struggle. Everyone struggles. Privilege is when your struggle isn't made heavier by the color of your skin. It's walking into a store without being followed. It's being pulled over and thinking about the ticket, not your life. It's sending your kids to school and knowing their textbooks will tell their story. It's turning on the television and seeing faces that look like yours, playing the hero, the president, the CEO, the everyday neighbor. You see? To see that clearly isn't defeat, it isn't surrender, it's an act of honesty, because when we deny privilege, we aren't protecting ourselves, we're protecting the lie that history is over. But history isn't over. It lives in the wealth gap, it lives in sentencing disparities, it lives in who gets sick more often, who gets treated less. It lives in neighborhoods where food deserts stretch for miles, where opportunities are rare but policing is constant. History is written into the bones of the present. And privilege is the quiet inheritance of that history. Quiet because it rarely announces itself. Quiet because those who benefit often never had to ask for it, never had to think about it, never had to name it. That quietness is the reason so many deny it, because to say it out loud means facing the weight of a story they thought had ended long ago. And acknowledging that isn't weakness, it's the first step towards something better, because honesty is where change begins. You can't fix what you refuse to see. When we admit privilege exists, we open the door to conversations that matter, conversations about schools that need funding, about neighborhoods that need investment, about health systems that need trust rebuilt, about laws that need teeth, not just words on paper. Admitting privilege doesn't erase inequality, but it shatters the silence that protects it. It changes how we vote, how we hire, how we teach our children, how we write our history. It forces us to ask not just what was taken, but what can be repaired. And repair only comes after recognition. So no, acknowledging privilege isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the courage to look at the weight of the past and still choose to build a different future. Right? So the question isn't, why should I admit privilege? The question is, how much longer will we choose denial over the hard work of repair? Y'all have a good Sunday.